What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Hold on, it's not picking you guys up yet. There we
Oh
go.
no.
All right, there we go. Perfect.
Hello.
Is this
Ooh,
my
that's the
dad's
wrong
house?
one. Here, we're gonna switch to this one. Hi, how is everyone doing? It's fine. We're a little dysfunctional this week. What's going on, guys?
Not much. Not much.
Show me what you got.
I think a little too much on my plate, but we're good.
A little too much on your face. Are we talking
No,
about the light?
my
I know. I'm kidding.
oh,
I'm just
that
roasting you.
giant,
I'm
the big
sorry.
white light.
You know what's really cool is that last week, or last episode, Luigi was floating in a black void, and it's nice to see that the void has now taken some sort of shape. You can see a horizon in the background. I assume that's the event horizon, because I don't know anything about space.
He's walked a little bit closer to where he needs to go, or where he needs to be.
I had to travel a few light years, but
Light
I'm
years.
finally there.
Finding his way around space.
Disturbing. Strongest legs.
He's swimming.
Where?
So
In nothingness.
yeah,
Nothingness.
he's moving his way.
I really wish you had it like pulled all the way back down. I liked the void so much.
I'm actually right behind me, like right here. So this is space. We obviously see that because you can see the stars. I'm actually on the moon right now, but I have a few more light years to go until I get.
Wait, is that White the Moon?
Yeah, this is the moon. You guys didn't know that? You guys said it. That's why he said it was a horizon.
That explains your
You can
connection.
see it. Yeah, and then that's why the connection's like all staticky. But we're pretty good up here.
God, he can only bring the bare minimum. It's fine. It's roast Luigi session every single time we start the podcast. Hope everybody is doing well, though, that's listening in. We have some topics. Luigi actually wants to talk about some stuff from the moon. Here,
Oh my
what
god,
he has from
you
up
don't
there.
even understand. So we talk about being on the moon, and then we talk about music,
You talked about it.
and then we talk about music on the moon. So we're gonna talk about music on the moon, guys, to start this off because I have recently started listening to a new artist never heard before. I highly doubt any of you guys will hear him.
Luigi discovered this artist.
You guys are gonna be mind blown.
Guys, I literally like dug through so many trenches to find this person. His name is Drake. Yeah, my first time listening to Drake.
Well,
I have. Oh, okay, I should correct myself. As to anybody listening, so this is my first time listening to an album from Drake, from
Jake.
start to finish. And one, I said Drake, or maybe I did say Drake. My speech sucks sometimes. But
no,
anyways,
you said Drake. You said Drake.
um, from start to finish. So this is really new for me, because I've only heard of songs by Drake, but never have actually sat down and listened to Drake, give it a good listen through the lyrics, and understand the messages trying to be conveyed. Um, and I will have to say that experience was fantastic. Um, so what do you guys think about that so far? Like what, like right off the belly, does that like,
Oh my god!
does that like does that like
I
does
listened
that
to the
interest
full
anybody,
album.
or does that hold on, no, before I go on a huge tangent about this, or not tangents not the word, before I go on a huge like speech about Drake's new album.
We're not gonna sit here and talk about Drake's new album. The subject that we talked about is looking at a complete work versus just parts of it. Looking at a piece of art or something as a whole rather than we'll put it in terms of the album, like looking at an album and listening to that all the way through to understand the artist's work, or listening to a single from the album and getting a section of it.
So that point right there, what Jake just described, is what I was actually trying to say to all of you.
That is the name of our subject.
And that is also the name of our subject.
And the stream.
And the stream. So, would you guys like to hear my thoughts first? Like, what did I like? Is there something specific I should go into detail about this, or
if you want to talk about Drake's album, I'd say send it.
Yeah, this is your subject.
Okay. I'll go on to Drake's album a little bit, and then I want to head back over to what Jake was talking about with the single versus a whole album, because I do think that's a really really important key to understand why I have to explain this. Um, so I actually got drawn in instantly for this first song. Um, this first song starts off as Deep Pockets. Um, I want to say that I definitely relate to like a lot of the I guess the phrases in this. And that's usually what draws me to music is like when I hear like a sentence or something that just kind of like it'll kind of like instead because I'll be like mellowing out listening to the music and then I'll hear something and I'll be like oh geez, okay, that I start to feel something from that, right? I'll start to make a connection to maybe like a past experience. Usually I don't when I listen to music, I don't really always get that from an artist. So that's what kept me going to continue listening to the album. And that's actually what made me go through the entire album. It wasn't just me like enjoying the melody of the music and the the beat or whatever. It was me trying to decipher what Drake was trying to say, or any points that he was trying to make through each song. Um, I still have yet to really kind of complete like a whole, I guess, study of the music and kind of decipher the whole thing and what the album is supposed to represent. So that's why I think it proves a good point that listening to an whole album, right, and trying to understand the whole album instead of just a song out of that album, like Jake mentioned, like a single, you'll get the full picture. Because, like I said, um, I listened to the full album, but I didn't study the whole album, so I only know parts of the story. I don't know the whole thing yet. I don't understand the full picture.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I firmly agree with you. That's something I've talked about quite a bit with a lot of different people as someone who really enjoys music. Um, Personally, listening to an album it's not like a one-time thing. You really got to dig in there a lot of the time, and you're looking at months upon months of work that the artist put in just to put out something that's maybe half an hour to an hour, you know?
mhm,
So there's a lot of thought, there's a lot of production, and there's a lot of time and energy spent crafting this piece of work. And a lot of people don't really give them the time they deserve. And I think it's really something that's reserved for the fans of a certain artist,
mhm.
which is special in its own way, you know, because I'm not going to sit here and listen to a full album by an artist that I'm not particularly a fan of. I might
Mhm.
listen to a single or two because that's palatable for me, but maybe not necessarily their whole persona, you know?
Mhm. Absolutely, and that's something that I didn't understand. I never really understood Drake's persona because, like you said, I only listened to a few songs that I liked by Drake, or that I recognized that I can say I enjoyed, but I never actually went through and listened to an album start to finish to get the full picture.
I feel like that's a
Have you guys
pretty
had that?
yeah, I feel like that's like a pretty common thing. Like I know artists where I like the artist, but I only like
Hmm.
a handful of songs by them. I'm not gonna go and listen to every single song straight through on their albums that they put out. Like I might if I'm curious, but if I don't like the song, I might skip to the next one.
Yeah,
So I know what you
100%.
mean, like actually giving the full album a listen, listening to every single song all the way through.
Yeah, personally, I'm someone who listens to the full album. I'll see that the release came out as the full album, and I will immediately add the album to my playlist, and then I will listen to it through multiple times. And you know what? If it's a rare case that I really don't like the album and take off a lot of the songs, but most of the time that's my preferred way of experiencing music because I do listen to so much music that I really do want something fresh to dig into like all the time.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You know, if we were just to talk about the Drake album, I've only listened to it a couple times and I already have certain thoughts on it, but you know, like Luigi said, I don't really have a full opinion on it.
Hmm.
Um, it was Jay-Z who said that he was actually criticizing music critics because they will listen to the album over the course of a week and already make up their mind on it. I don't remember the exact quote, but he said he could never do that. He could never listen to an album and then, you know, write an article on it and come up
Hmm.
with decisive ideas on whether things were enjoyable or not after just a single week, you know.
Yeah.
And I firmly agree with that. And obviously, he's an artist, so he's going to advocate on the side of the artist in that struggle. But I think it's a very valid point that, specifically when talking about music albums, at least, because this conversation can be equated to other types of media,
Hmm.
that listening through all the way just once or twice is not going to give you the full picture at all. There's stuff that I still pick out in albums that I was listening to in 2013.
I have a great example about actually what you kind of just described there. I'm starting to look at albums a more as like a portfolio essentially. Um,
I
coming
think
from
I'd like to speak on just that point real quick. I do think
yeah,
that's a valid thought, but I don't think it's valid for every artist. But continue.
Yeah.
definitely not for every artist.
Because
Yes.
when you're talking about Drake specifically, I would agree that Drake does present his albums as sort of a portfolio of what he's capable of, like different genres and different
Hmm.
vibes. But yeah, continue.
And coming from any type of field where you need a portfolio to show, um, I'm starting to see that if I were to look at an album like a portfolio, I would, from start to finish, literally go in order through the album, um, and actually like take it into that perspective. And I used to never really have that perspective before. My perspective on listening to music lately has changed a lot, um, based on our topic here as to listening from start to finish to get the full picture.
Mm.
And then it goes more than just that too. Like I said, I listened to the album, but I still need to study it more. Still need to decipher more of it to really solidify like an opinion and such.
Yeah, which is fair, and I appreciate that sentiment.
Thank you.
Something interesting I want to add to that, because like just on the topic of listening to something through, there's actually been a few artists in the past that I've listened to that I've listened to individual songs by them, but then as I liked the artist more and more, I went back to older albums and I would listen from start to finish of things. And I've
Mhm.
actually seen some artists will have songs that leak into other songs, like the ending of one
Mhm.
song go into the intro of the next song. And I've had albums that have done that with like every single song, 15, 16,
Yeah.
17 songs long. Stuff like that is really interesting to see too. So I just wanted to add that on there.
Oh my god,
And Jake,
I'm
I'm sure
gonna.
you can see a lot of that.
Oh, for sure. I'm gonna get heavily criticized for completely forgetting the name of the artist and the album, but there's this. Oh, there's an album hugely famous, and I feel like such a moron right now. But the last song of the album leads into the first song, so essentially the whole album is a loop.
That's
And
pretty cool.
someone's gonna yell at me.
And that's what I like because Jake, you being um very skilled in English, you can definitely pick up on a lot of the skills and like techniques probably utilized throughout the
Yeah,
creation of certain albums.
part of the reason I love music, and hip hop specifically, is because I'm a huge fan of lyricism, and that's what really got me into it in the first place. Um, and frankly, the reason that I started listening to full albums at such a young age wasn't, well, I guess one, it was necessity, because I started doing it back when CDs were still a thing, and I did not have an MP3 player. Like iPods were brand new.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
I remember like the first, it's not an album, it's more of a compendium, not even a compendium, it's a compilation of sorts, was Green Day's International Super Hits.
Oh my
Uh,
god.
and I would just listen to that. And then I had um, Michael Jackson's This Is It. And I had like the special edition, had a little picture flip book and stuff. And I literally, the only way I could listen to music was to listen to the album all the way through. Now, once we got into a more like digital age, when I started pirating, downloading my own music, uh, I was I did it more out of like middle school elitism. When I was in like 8th grade, I remember like I wanted to be a bigger fan of certain artists than other people were, and
Oh yeah.
specifically with Eminem, because I used to love him in 8th grade.
Hmm.
I would listen to his full albums, and I would have them on CD, and I would have them on my phone,
You'd have
and
them memorized.
all the way through just to hear songs that people hadn't heard, the other kids at school.
Yeah.
And, it kind of became a habit. And since then, I find myself talking about albums. I don't find myself talking about songs. I don't sit here and praise how brilliant a song is. I praise the ultimate work.
I was the same way in 8th grade, and I can definitely say that having that trait helped me find a lot of music that I definitely still listen to today. So it's really interesting to see those, like, how those things actually play into just listening to music, which I never actually really think about because I literally, you just kind of listen to music, but it's an experience,
Mm.
and I think it's just like it's definitely like overlooked in a way.
I
So
think there's a valid conversation to be had about, the full work still. Because I mentioned some bigger artists, but there are a lot of artists that have had their big hit, but they put out equally quality material in their works. And music is my realm of, I don't want to say expertise, but it's what I know the most about when it comes to media, at least.
Yeah.
mhm.
And I talk a lot about artists who have really been in the limelight and still have the wrong picture. But people have the wrong picture about them in general. Uh, a famous one I'd like to bring up, and I'd probably catch flack for this one too, but I'm a fan of Future, and Future definitely does get portrayed as this womanizer that he does portray himself as. I'm not gonna argue that. And if you listen to any of his major hits, it's all drugs and women. And if I hit you once, you're part of my collection, like this weird possessiveness.
Yeah.
Um, but if you delve into some of his works, and there's like a million, the man puts out 3 albums a year. Um, you'll
Psychotic.
you'll hear a deeper side to him, and yes, he is that person, right? He's the person he's portrayed as, but he's a human, and
Mhm.
humans are multifaceted individuals, and a true artist can express those different facets in a way that is enjoyable and listenable and deep. And I do think that a lot of the artists who are very famous have good resources and can do that type of thing. So I go back and I listen to full Future albums, and I don't really think of him in my head as that womanizing, possessive douchebag that he would be to me if I just listened to his hits.
Mm.
I see him
I
more
feel
of as an
like
individual.
you're definitely less of a douchebag if you kind of keep that all in, and you know what I mean. And he's like like how many people do you know can sit there and sing a song, first of all, let alone an album, about all of their mistakes and like even the deepest ones, right? How many people can actually do that? So very respectable. And I've never listened to Future before. I cannot hold an opinion on him, but I definitely have respect for people who can do that, especially when it's through music. Um, so yeah.
Can you been quiet?
Dead. I know. I've just been thinking of like previous albums and stuff that I've listened all the way through. Things that honestly I've just been better listening to it as a whole rather than just like solo pieces. One that actually you showed me because of the internet, Childish Gambino.
I showed
That's
you that?
yeah, you did.
I never even realized that.
You showed me that back
You should have saw it.
when we were friends with Zach. I'm pretty sure, like way back in the day.
Oh my god.
That was like I want to say
Yes.
like 2014, Jake, like a year after it released.
Yes.
So I mean,
I remember that. Holy
that's
shit.
like because I remember you had showed me that, and then like a year or two later, everybody was singing like 3005, Sweatpants. Like everybody was singing like the major parts, and I'm over here jamming to all the things in between in the album because I actually appreciated all those parts. He's
Yep.
grabbing it. There it is. Jesus.
This is my baby.
I re-
Fun facts. I didn't realize this was such a special album to Kenny. I knew he was a fan, but one year on my birthday, I already had this. But Kenny showed up with this as the present. But we were both such big fans that I had it and he bought it for me. It was actually really awkward.
That's
But
cute. I didn't even know that happened.
but no, it is a cute moment in our friendship
That
history.
is.
And the man's went all the way back to the store, returned it, and bought me a whole separate album just for me.
Did,
I literally never forgot that moment.
didn't I get you an Eminem album?
Yes, you got me The Show. The
I
Eminem show.
I think so, because I know you didn't have that one, and I knew how much you liked Eminem back in the day. Going back to what you
Yes.
said before.
Can I just say two honorable mentions? Just reverting a little back to future. Two honorable mentions I wanted to say about people who kind of like give it their all with like who they are. They don't really kind of leave anything out. Is Logic and MGK. I think are two artists that are very respectable in that area. Logic
That's
I have not listened
debatable.
to
It's
as
debatable for
much as
both of them. I'm
MGK, but
sorry.
it can be. But I think that maybe I think there's certain albums with Logic especially, but
Logic has magnum. He has like several magnum opuses. Opie. I wouldn't know how to say it. He has several really amazing works. But he counterbalances those with several very mediocre works.
mhm,
He's a respectable artist and individual. But I mean, frankly, when the rap image is something that's so heavily focused upon in that
mhm,
realm, he's clowned on like crazy.
Who
yeah,
Logic?
And yeah, he's clowned on a lot, and I'm not criticizing him for that because he's genuine and he takes flack for it,
I love
mhm.
Logic,
which
honestly.
sucks. But at the end of the day, uh, debatable individuals.
I only think
Sorry to interrupt you to shit on your parade.
I can definitely see that for both of them, but I think more over like MGK. Like
I'm
I
just not
know
a fan of MGK.
I'm just
Straight
not a
up.
fan either. I like Logic, but Logic has had his moments. I can definitely say that. But
Mhm.
moving away from that because that's not our subject.
Well, yeah, continue, Luigi.
Yeah. Um. So we want to go back to how. Um. Actually, no. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm kind of drawing a blank here. I wanted to. I wanted to. I kind of wanted to move this along
Okay,
to a
well,
little.
we're gonna take an aside real quick while Luigi gets his hamster moving again, and we're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about this album for a sec because if you see on the spine it says Childish Gambino. This is actually a book. Okay, if you flip it over to the other side, the edges of the pages, you can probably not see it that well on the camera. It says because the internet on the edges of the page. They literally printed it there. Do you know what this book is?
I love when they do that.
Do you know what this book is, boys?
I
I
remember
do
reading a
not.
little bit about it. It's
What does this look like?
I cannot see.
My English textbook.
For anybody, this is why you have to watch live, by the way, folks listening at home.
You
Yeah, I
understand
know.
what this is? This is an original screenplay written by Donald Glover, Childish Gambino.
Extremely talented human being.
It's a screenplay. He included a screenplay in the vinyl release of his album that keeps
Oh.
on thematically with the album.
What
I
just
didn't see that.
happened?
I saw that. I remember
Ghost.
I remember you
Fucking
showing
ghost
that.
house. But I there's your little bonus right there. If nothing gets you started on listening to albums, well, little bonuses like that are always fun for me.
I hope what definitely gets people started is definitely no, I wouldn't say changing, but definitely looking at music in different perspectives. I think that's ultimately what I like to get out of this subject. Because I think listening to music at this point, like I'm 22 years old. We've listened to music for almost that long. I would like to say it's
Yeah,
almost like eating and drinking, right? You're like no one's gonna come up to you and say, or you're not gonna really want to like have someone tell you how to eat your food. Everybody eats their food a little bit of a different type of way, or something like that, right? Something so basic, or breathing air, right?
I use a fork in
And
soup.
I think
I
music
use a
it can be
fork in
treated the
breathing.
same way. And Jake, the reason why I bring that up too is when we did have that conversation about like how you were recommending me artists, and you recommended artists that I should start an album from start to finish. Having said that, I was it definitely changed the way I look at music and the way I want to actually um what's the word, how I actually want to consume music, right?
Yeah,
So
I'm definitely the type of person who recommends the full album rather than individual songs.
Hmm.
I can name so many times where I'm like, oh, you'd really enjoy this album, or you should listen to this. Which in its own way is obnoxious, but I do think personally, that's just the type of human I am. I like to listen to the full thing.
Hmm.
And you know what? This conversation is not necessarily just about music, and we can equate this in so many different ways to different types of content that have been created in the past. Like how many times have you seen a YouTube video that got really big, and then
Hmm.
you've checked out the person, you found a lot deeper content or even more interesting content on their end, and found them to be like a really genuine person. You know,
100%.
uh,
100%.
it's like when you
Hmm.
see someone and they make their first impression, and their first impression doesn't exactly line up with who they are.
I
You
feel.
know,
Oh man,
as you learn who they are.
I wish more people like understood that because I feel like a lot of people leave that out. That is a very good point.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot to be said about um it's essentially saying don't jump to conclusions, and I'd say
Yeah.
listening to a single is kind of like jumping to a conclusion about an artist.
Yeah.
A lot of times
Yeah.
people put a lot of time and work into singles just to make them commercially viable, like make them popular
Hmm.
in order to
TikTok.
promote the full album. What was that?
Yes.
TikTok.
Yeah.
You hear so many one and dones on TikTok, honestly. And I
I
don't
mean,
even mean
that's the
that
nature of it.
I don't even mean that as in like, oh, you hear this song and then there's no other songs that are popular. Like I mean like they have one song, that's it, or they have one song and the rest is just like completely different from the rest.
Yep.
I don't
So
mean that in a bad way either.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of the point of a single in general is, this is the piece we want to promote. This is really palatable to someone who's never listened to you and won't give you the full album time, and this is how we're going to try to draw people in, and then we're going to make some money while we do it because we're going to put it on the radio. Did you guys know that any song can be put on the radio? You just have to pay for it.
Yeah.
They don't curate songs on the radio. They say, "Hey, this one's really good. We're going to play this." They get paid.
You know. You know what also is very interesting about this topic too is music that gets taken and put into let's say like a meme, and now that song is like not as enjoyable as it originally was to some degree, or like maybe people won't really want to go see that artist, or maybe they will because of the meme. But wait, but my point with this is that it's somebody else's property, right? The music, and you take somebody else's property, and somebody can kind of like throw that on something, and then now it's a first impression thing, right? Now someone might not really think the same or something. It's just because it was used in a different manner.
I don't I don't know if I exactly agree with that because I think like half of the music I've seen attached to memes or videos like that online, I've ended up going to listening
Yeah.
to the full thing or listening to other works by them, and I've actually enjoyed it a lot more than just like the snippet they've given me.
That's
Yeah,
true.
it's like the saying there's no such thing as
That's
bad
true.
publicity.
Exactly.
Someone can completely crap on your work, and you know what? If they're doing it on their YouTube, you're gonna get
Hmm.
new listeners.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're gonna
So
benefit.
yeah, personally, the only time that it's ever ruined something for me is just hearing it too many times, which that's burnout. That's normal. It
Hmm.
happens with everything. Like there are songs off even TikTok that I've gone and listened to and really appreciated the artists.
I feel like I need to do that with some that I've seen. So I like I s- again, like I said, it's almost like a perspective thing,
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit differently.
It's all perspective.
Yeah, at the end of the
Um,
day, it definitely is.
and that's why it's a good idea to promote getting the full perspective.
Hmm.
Instead of just I don't
Instead
want
of
to.
the
I don't want.
fragment.
Yeah, interrupt me. I don't want to sit here and talk about like fake fans. I'm not that type of person. I don't gatekeep communities from people. But I'm not the type of person who wants to say that I'm a fan of someone after really liking one of their songs.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah,
So
that's jumping to a conclusion too.
not necessarily. I don't think there's anything wrong with that practice. I'm just not that type of person.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I agree
okay,
with that.
that makes sense.
That said, I do think that there are um, some valuable things to talk about in the realm of. I'm going to equate it to music because, like I said, that's the way I understand it the most. But the next subject I wanted to talk about today, it's very broad, but I wanted to talk about obsolescence and how it affects how we enjoy these things. specifically with like music fandoms, and I'm going to let you guys know where I'm going here. So personally, I am someone who does listen to the full album, and I'll go out of my way to listen to everything in artist Scott if I really liked them. So I won't just be on the major streaming service like Spotify, but I'll be going and looking at their mixtapes that are not on streaming services, or I'll be looking at this release,
100%.
which was only on YouTube. Um, and I think that's a big piece of a lot of what's happening nowadays with media. Everything's becoming very homogenized towards streaming services. So to preface the subject, if you're not really into it's more of a thing in hip hop and rap that artists will put out a mixtape. And there's several reasons why they might want to put out a mixtape, but what a mixtape is essentially in these terms is a free album, for lack of a better term. I wouldn't call it an album. It is a free piece of work um, that consists of songs that they otherwise would not put on an album, or maybe they wanted to release a complete work and couldn't get the licenses for their samples. For whatever reason, they wanted to put this work out for free as like a side piece in their content. So for instance, like even we were just talking about Childish Gambino. After Childish Gambino, he actually kind of did something novel after Because the Internet. He released Kawhi, but Kawhi was a dual release. A lot of people don't know that. He came out with the album Kawhi, and he came out with the mixtape Stone Mountain.
Stone Mountain. That's what I was going to talk about. Yeah,
people don't know about Stone Mountain because it wasn't released as an album. It wasn't released on streaming services. And I do think that there was something really cool for people who were genuine fans of someone when they could search deeper and go onto like DatPiff or SoundCloud and find a new piece of work that was just for the fans. You know, someone who's a big fan of mixtapes, who's really huge and still puts out free mixtapes all the time, is Lil Wayne. It's honestly insane that he's still putting out free music. But what we're seeing happening nowadays, especially, is, like I said before, I want to use the word homogenized. We're seeing music get homogenized. We're seeing everything get put on streaming services. We're seeing mixtapes that were before a little something you got to look extra for. It was like a treat for people who wanted to look deeper, are now being retroactively put onto streaming services.
Chance.
And yeah, not just Chance.
Immediately what comes to my mind.
I've noticed it happen with other artists as well. Like recently I saw Tokyo's Wave Theory, which I was bumping back in like 2013, 2014, whenever it came out, was recently put up as well. But we're seeing like a departure from that. We're seeing essentially mixtapes are getting the same treatment as albums. And at that point, we're not really seeing a difference anymore. Like the mixtape might as well be an album now.
Yeah.
Like with Chance the Rapper, you just said, Chance the Rapper put Acid Rap and 10 Day on streaming services, and I mean he always talks about how they're not albums, but they might as well be at this point.
They're treated like it at this point.
Right. I think the only difference nowadays is going to be semantics. So yeah, it's not necessarily the album. You didn't put in the album effort, but what's going to be the difference between me listening to it like an album? You know, it's where it is.
Exactly. I know what you mean with it.
And what I want to talk about specifically is how mixtapes at this point are kind of obsolete. People are not finding value in releasing mixtapes anymore, and there never really was. But I feel like it's losing some of the spirit. And
I can see it definitely losing this. It's losing that value because it's content that you said that a fan really has to dive into.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, one of my favorite mixtapes of all time is something that I really grew up with and really, really, really just adore. Beautiful. And I feel like it's a really crucial piece in this artist's growth was Faces by Mac Miller. I think it was such a crucial piece of work for him, and it bridged the gap between like watching movies and Good AM or wherever he was at the time. Um, and if I were to see that, we actually just saw this with Mac Miller. Kids, do you guys remember Kids? That got put on Spotify. Kids is
Really?
no longer an exclusively mixtape anymore.
Jesus. Okay, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Wow.
Yeah, so Kids was put on Spotify as well. And it's great, more people can get exposed to it. But I feel like it does affect my enjoyment on some level. I feel like mixtapes becoming obsolete is affecting my enjoyment of the hobby. So
That's very
yeah,
respectable.
I kind of wanted to talk about how obsolescence can actually, like, something going obsolete and we're coming out with a new thing can kind of maybe even ruin things for us a little bit.
I can definitely see that. I feel like, so going back to kind of Chance, when they added those two mixtapes onto like Spotify, um I realized like I love all the songs off of those, but I didn't go to Spotify to listen to those. I would listen
Right.
to them, I would bump them on like YouTube, other platforms, but like that's where they were. But I haven't touched Spotify and listened to them since they've been added pretty much.
Right.
So I can see that right off there. I have an example of it.
Exactly. With those in particular, or any mixtape, I kind of had them in reservation in my mind
Mm-hmm.
where I would listen to an artist regularly, but on special occasions, I'd go into my phone music, not on a streaming service, and I'd listen to the mixtape, which was like a special thing for me. And now I just don't listen to it at all because it's immediately available.
I feel that, and I feel that I feel like that the obsolescence can definitely relate to not even just music too. And Jake, I know where you're coming
Exactly.
from too. Like that, I feel that. Like I that's something I definitely feel. Um, and one other way I want to relate this to is I know I might get laughed at this, but I'll quickly say that
Hey.
no, in Yu-Gi-Oh, so
Oh.
if people know, I'm a huge Yu-Gi-Oh collector, and I have cards that date back all the way in the early 2000s, and they were only from tournaments. You can only get them in tournaments, the tournament pack cards. And I have a few of those holographic uh, tournament cards. So it's like if they were to take those cards, they're so unique and they're so valuable and so rare. They take those cards and say, "Hey, we're just gonna start reprinting these cards. Now they're available to everybody. They're not as significant as they once were." I probably wouldn't even feel that great about like owning those cards anymore, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a prime
Making
example actually.
making them more readily available to play in the current meta,
Mm-hmm.
along with the cards that are currently there, devalues them. That's
Yeah,
the exact reason that Magic the Gathering has the reserve list. I don't know if you
Hmm.
guys are familiar.
Yeah.
and I think those techniques that maybe Magic uses, I don't know necessarily if that would ever apply to music, but
A
that
reserve
affects
list?
the game. No, not the reserve list specifically, but just other, I guess, techniques that can maybe be introduced. I have nothing on the top of my head about that, but I'm thinking. I do want to say though, I definitely think that it 100% has an effect. I know it has an effect on me, whether it's music or not. It hasn't that the effect of obsolescence definitely affects me. That's what I want to say. Definitely does.
It's kind of like when you'd break out the Nintendo GameCube every so often and
Yes,
play something special.
you would
You haven't
play
played since you were a
yeah,
kid, and if it got remade, you would play the crap out of it and then never go back to it again.
yeah. Like I wouldn't I wouldn't feel the same about playing Kirby Air Ride on whatever Nintendo releases next. Maybe they'll release something on Switch. Who knows? I don't care. Anyways, there's nothing beats it playing on the GameCube with the GameCube controller.
Yeah.
Special.
I think it's kind of elitist, but just having something so readily available just makes it less escapable. It makes it when it's always within reach, it's less
Yeah.
special, and I hate that. And there's a lot to be said about how scarcity affects our brains, but when it becomes less scarce, I enjoy it less, and I think I genuinely don't know what to think. I I
Hmm.
I, I kind of hate that that happens, and I kind of hate that I'm like that. I hate that I can't just go on to Spotify and listen to those mixtapes every so often, like I did when I went into my phone files,
Hmm.
and still enjoy them the same way. But it just doesn't work like that in my brain.
One example too that I want to bring up from like personal experiences with like the rising of Disney Plus, because everybody knows I love Star Wars, but when I watch Star Wars, I would either pop a tape into the VCR, watch the old Star Wars like that, or I would go online, spend like 20 minutes searching for one that actually is good quality, and then watch it through there. I can literally turn on my PlayStation, go into the Disney Plus app, and I have every single movie that's ever come out in front of me, and I'm just like, what is this? Like, why is this available?
It doesn't feel as special anymore. And I mean, that doesn't make the work any less valuable itself.
No, not
There's
at
still a
all.
lot to dig into there, but it makes the ritual of listening or watching the work or even playing it less special itself.
Like, I don't have to
Right.
go on a quest to watch like episode 2. Like, I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. It's right here. It's on my PlayStation. Nice. All right, let's watch. And like, I feel like that can apply for like the rest of the old Disney movies too. Like watching Hercules on like an old TV, having
It's
a
not the same,
it's not. It's cool. I like it. I watched Hercules the other day, but like it's just not the same feeling.
I feel like if you were to come back here and play Kirby, it wouldn't be the same if we weren't in the camper. Like, you know, it
The
wouldn't be the
camper.
same. Or like playing Smash together, like all in Jake's basement or something. Those have sentimental value, man. Those have sentimental value to me.
That can definitely be like
Briefly.
a piece towards it. But like I feel like I don't know, Smash and Kirby I can play anywhere, honestly.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, but it's
Feeling
like,
is still there.
yeah.
yeah, and it's the same tactic that people use in marketing. Scarcity creates demand.
Mm-hmm.
So like if they make something that they really want to be looked at as exclusive, they up the price so it's less readily available and that makes it more valuable in our eyes. Or they make less of it. They make like a limited edition and
Mm-hmm.
Supreme.
therefore more valuable to us, right? We want it more.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a rough part of our psychology just.
And first edition things, like the first printing of things and first releases of things that you get,
And
Yeah.
it
then
kind
they
of
re-release
sucks.
it.
Well, yeah, and it sucks that I'm kind of advocating for that. I'm kind of advocating for scarcity to come back.
I
Like
love scarcity,
I love
man.
scarcity. Thank you. Thank you, Luigi. Um what happened to your mic?
It's gotten louder.
I yeah, I'm kind of sitting here saying like I wish these products were as scarce as they were. I kind of don't like that they're readily available, and that means that
Mhm.
I'm kind of advocating against more people being able to listen to these awesome things. Just it's not a good look. So it's something that I really don't know how I feel. I'm really good at making up my mind on things like this, given all the facts. But the more I look at the facts, the more I'm confused.
I can
You
see
know?
that.
I bet if we were to have at least 100 people comment on this podcast alone about scarcity, I think almost all of those people can agree with the same feeling that we're kind of describing here. I think that it can be related to so many different things, and how we look at things and their values.
No, I feel like some people want that stuff readily available to them. They want to be able to participate. Like they don't want to. Okay, goodbye, Luigi. They don't want to feel. Luigi just got sent to the shadow realm in the middle of my speech. Bro, he is ahead now. Oh my god.
Hold on.
Oh
Hold on,
my
hold
god.
on 1 second. Keep going, keep going.
What, a light
What
bulb
just
below in your
happened?
room?
No.
He went to the dark side of the moon.
Floating head.
I can't open up Zoom.
He
What is
was a
happening?
floating head. Oh my god.
There it
I
was.
feel bad for listeners, dude. They always miss out.
They always do. Watch it live.
That was
No,
incredible.
but people like having things readily available to them. They don't like the feeling of being left out. Like at least some people. So I feel like that
Well,
wouldn't be accurate.
I mean in terms of like maybe their own thing that they appreciate. Like for me, like I like really quick, I appreciate Yu-Gi-Oh things a lot, right? Maybe somebody appreciates something else a lot, and they want something like that to be still be scarce in their department, right? In their kind of territory essentially. But I no, I don't think every person definitely thinks like that. But I definitely think that a lot of people can relate to a subject upon scarcity.
Who can relate? Woo! Speaking of logic. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's not a universal feeling. Some people fall one way or the other, which is why to me it's interesting that I can't make up my mind on it. I think part of me is still that elitist little kid who's like, "This is mine, not yours. You haven't heard of it. You won't
Me, not
download
you.
the app to get it." What'd you say?
Me, not you.
Me, not you.
In the middle of the serious talk, can I just point out that Yoshi has been staring into my eyes the past like 48 minutes in the background of Jake's stream? There he is.
There he is. I love
Dead stare at the camera.
Oh my god.
I freaking love that.
He is like directly facing towards it. Like,
It's like spot on.
Dude,
I
my
don't know how
house
you
is
did that.
haunted.
spot
has to
on.
be.
That's so scary, man.
It is haunted.
Oh
too,
my
though,
God.
'cause I actually have seen. I have seen.
Seen
Dude,
what?
I've seen some things in that apartment.
Are you gonna warn Jake
We've
about
all seen
them?
it.
In my
We've all
apartment?
yeah.
No, you and Alana have seen it. You and my roommate have seen it.
Oh yeah,
Nobody
you guys
else.
haven't seen it. I saw.
Nobody else has seen it. The only
No, Kenny, you saw
poltergeist.
it too.
No,
Listen,
I did see it. I know
the
what
only
he's talking
poltergeist
about.
around here is my roommate who walks around mumbling to herself and opening up every cupboard and not closing them. And it looks like the fucking what's that movie? Paranormal Activity. Where
Yes.
they walk in and like all the cabinets are open and all the chairs are like upturned and stuff. That's
she
literally
home?
what happens in my apartment. Yes, she's alone. She's home. She
Can she hear you through the wall?
probably. I don't know.
She's trying to like,
I
she's
tell her,
gonna go
I
open
tell her all the
cabinets.
time. I tell her every single day. I'm like, "You're a poltergeist." I say it.
Imagine,
My roommate is
imagine
my
coming home from work
poltergeist.
and being called a poltergeist.
That's so funny.
That is pretty funny.
My
Scary
roommate, the
ghost man.
poltergeist. But yeah, that about sums up my ideas on media obsolescence and how it affects me personally. But it does like I said, way into these albums, and I adore them and they're great works. And at the end of the day, the ritual is just as much a part of the enjoyment as actually listening.
I was just about to say that brought up something in my head. So with the upcoming release in September of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, I have seen a lot of comments about people saying, just plug in your old consoles and play this way. Like, these kids don't deserve to play this game in this day and age, like,
See, that's
remastered.
gatekeeping.
That's gatekeeping,
That's
but like,
gatekeeping.
I feel like that actually fits in with it, like this whole thing, in some
I'm-
sense.
I'm gonna break a rule and acknowledge the chat. Master Rowan just said Dark Side of the Moon, and that's the album I was thinking of at the beginning of the podcast.
We
The
got
one
an
that,
answer though.
Look,
ties back
he's
into
our
the
first
main-
feature in the podcast.
Yep.
It's a
He's
comment.
number one.
Andrew.
Oh,
Good
we
ol'
definitely
Andrew.
see. We can definitely see all the sides to the stories: the elitists, the gatekeepers, the sentimental valuers.
Gatekeepers. What? No, I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
they could probably
No.
fall into the same.
They
Yeah,
don't.
I
category
think
maybe,
the point I'm trying to make is that I do appreciate going out of my way and having to listen to this album and being away from all the other music and like compartmentalized.
Yeah.
Like there's something like when the album doesn't wrap into the rest of your playlist. It's isolated, it's its own thing. Adds to the appreciation, and the conversations will still be had about the work, but it's not necessarily as enjoyable getting to that point.
Yeah.
So-
No, I completely agree.
So that said, I think it's time for our ritual where we talk about what we've been up to since the last episode.
Okay. All right. Do you want to go
Cool.
first?
Yeah,
Scared?
why not? So
You look like the Yoshi in the background.
Fucking Yoshi stared too. Its eyes widened. I saw it. There it is.
Scary ass.
But, I have been my pet project during the quarantine was I got a guitar some years ago from my mom for Christmas, and I never knew how to play it. It was never in tune. and I just left it there. I just never touched it really. So I went back to my mom's and I got the guitar and I brought it back here and I had to restring it. So I ordered strings and waited a month for the strings to come in. And my little pet project was repairing the guitar. I restrung it myself, having never done anything like that. And I put in new pins and I downloaded an application. I've been teaching myself how to play guitar. So
Nice.
So even
yeah,
at the
that's
technical side too, I didn't know. I knew you restrung it. I didn't know you put new pins in it too, though. Or
I
no, but it
mean,
was something like that.
it's
I
not
don't
really
know.
much more difficult than regular restringing. You have to
He's the
take the
master
pin
of
out.
all.
Yeah, that's still nice though, because like I don't know how to string a guitar, and that's something that I can't see myself taking upon so willingly like that. So that's actually really cool.
Google
The,
YouTube.
the amount of times I've had guitar strings snap on me growing up has sucked. So
I've never had that happen, but I'm ready.
don't let it happen. It hurts. That's all I'm gonna say.
It
I heard
hurts.
like the lowest string hurts really bad. It hurts. It's out. So yeah,
Okay.
that's been my little pet project. Aside from the stuff I'm normally up to, I've been a workaholic. I just had this past weekend was my first weekend off in 3 weeks, and my first full weekend off in over a month. So I actually have been so much happier this week because I actually got my rest. I slept all day Saturday. I slept a full night Friday night, 6 hours straight on Saturday, and then the full night Saturday night.
God,
You know,
psychopath. What does that feel like?
yes, that's psychopathic behavior. You're right. No, I've been feeling a lot better. I've been a lot happier, enjoying my time. So yeah, I mean, I haven't been up to anything too crazy. I scheduled a haircut because we can get haircuts now in our state, our nondescript American state. Um, and that's coming on Wednesday. So I'm gonna ask him for a butt trim as well.
Wait,
You should. You
they're
need it.
they're coming to your house?
They're gonna trim my butt hair
At
at
his
the
house.
no, not at my house. I'm gonna go there with the open window, open to the road.
It just needs a trimming. I thought by this time it would need like a full out, like you need like a
Cut.
lawn.
Who's talking right now?
You
No.
yes.
You should not be talking. This is what I'm trying to say. We're talking about, what do you call it? The Black Forest?
No, we call it the
Oh
butt.
my God.
The Dark Forest?
The Forbidden Forest.
The Forbidden Forest?
Everybody knows about the
Dan's
Forbidden
mom
Forest.
saw a devilish, awful part of the world.
She
A
was scared.
region
She stopped
unknown
going to
to
church
man.
after
No,
that
no, it's
day.
a different dimension.
Dementia.
Oh man.
Wait, what if that's where he was when his lights turned out? He got teleported to his own
To his
butt
own
hair.
spot.
Oh my god.
You're
This
not
is what we-
confirming or denying.
Right. This is what we talk about when Hannah's not on the podcast.
Come back. We need
Ugh.
balance.
We do need balance back.
Oh, what about you, Kenny? What have you been up to?
So the only real thing that I've been up to, besides looking like Sonic the Hedgehog now, you have to watch live or you won't be able to know what I'm talking about. G Fuel has a contest going on called Gamers Got Talent. It's a sponsorship from G Fuel, Digital Storm PC, and SteelSeries. So I get a code for all of those. I will get a code for all those, and I get a bunch of other stuff with it. So I have been filming and partaking in rounds of the contest. I moved on to round 2, and I actually already submitted my round 2 video. So I'm just waiting for the 22nd to hear back and see if I get into round 3. That's about it.
It's that far away.
Yeah.
Dang.
They gave us a lot of time for it. They sent us out product, but I have product at home to do it, so I just did it anyways.
That's awesome.
That's great.
So I'm stoked. I can't wait to see if I get through, which I think I will.
Mm-hmm. Well, congrats on round 2, man.
Thanks,
That's
Mom.
awesome.
What have you been up to, Luigi?
Well, I showed you guys my hands earlier. I won't
And
show
your
the
butt.
Stop!
same.
Don't show us.
I'm not here.
I'm
for
not
that.
looking.
I will.
Oh, we're
leave.
not. No, you have to
I
subscribe
don't want to
to my
hear your
OnlyFans.
nasty hands.
Stop.
Again.
To see that, but no, I'm just kidding. The silly hands because I've been destroying my hands doing masonry work at my brother's house.
Mercenary and masonry at the same time. He's playing Fortnite. He's
Mason,
building
I
a
can't
wall on the
speak.
battlefield.
I'm so sorry.
You are actually playing Fortnite.
Mason. Yeah, no, seriously. Punching bricks doesn't really work good, but no.
Minecraft.
Just been building stuff, helping them out a lot. It's a little bit of a job for me too, because I actually am getting compensated for it, which is great. So I have to be up really early, I have to be there like literally all day, and it's really really heavy labor. So I've been like not only like working and getting money, which is good because I need that a lot right now, but I've been getting a really good exercise in there too, because lifting 90-pound cement blocks, not blocks, the bags, and then the cinder blocks is not an easy task, especially when you have 120 cinder blocks to lift off of a truck.
Miserable.
It's miserable, but like I said, perspective is everything, man. I'm getting a good workout, and I'm getting paid, so win-win. Besides that, I have been doing so good with my online store, actually, selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards and stuff like that, which is new, and it's a lot of fun. The Yoshi, I see it. I see you.
That wasn't the Yoshi.
So that's been super fun. I'm really new to it, so it's taking a little bit of learning experiences.
Go to Luigi's
it's
Collectibles exclamation point.
no,
there it is. He's selling there.
That's really fun. But other than those two things, other than that, it's the same thing, man. Cleaning as much as I can. The dog.
Cleaning the dog.
The dog again because he's so much work.
Can we talk about
all these activities? I've been cleaning
the dog.
The dog.
Oh, cleaning the house, man.
Can we talk about how long it took you to bring him upstairs the other day during our Apex section?
Listen, I say, okay, so I have this bad habit of saying I'm going to go do something, and then I do like 5 other things when I'm doing that thing.
Wow, you think so?
And that was last night, so I apologize.
Luigi said, "I'll be right back. Got to bring Yami upstairs." 25 minutes later, after we're screaming and we play a duos together while waiting for him, he comes
Dude,
back.
These guys are waiting for me to come back to screaming in a duos. I come downstairs, giant bowl of fucking. I'm sorry, I just swore, but excuse my French. A giant bowl. Have we? I don't even remember. But anyways, swears, we know them. Anyways,
Adults.
Giant bowl of pasta, like gourmet, just got made by my mother, and these guys are on Apex raging, and I sit there with that pasta.
So pretty much what Luigi just admitted to was living in his mom's basement, mooching off of her for food,
lying to his friends,
and lying to my friends. I'm very good.
The man. Are you the man?
Good. I am.
We heard I have to go bring Yami upstairs in a second, and then he left. He was gone for 20 minutes. The stairs are right next to him.
Actually,
I called him during this time. We sat there waiting. I was streaming. I was streaming, and you left me hanging.
So we have evidence.
Yes, so there's evidence. I literally called you on stream, and we heard, "Hey, it's Luigi. Couldn't get to my phone.
Couldn't get to my phone.
The VOD, delete.
Delete
the VOD. Yeah. I mean, that's it, man. That's what do we
honestly, Luigi, you don't realize it, but I've called you so many times on stream just to demonstrate your message.
So many times, Luigi.
It's been at least 8 times.
My message.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it one of these days during stream.
It's like a staple of my stream now. Is calling you to hear your message.
It's gonna be my follower alert soon. Hi, it's Luigi.
Couldn't get to my phone right now.
Look,
I don't even know my voicemail. Like I don't remember the date I made it. I don't remember what it sounds like.
It was high school.
It's definitely high school.
You haven't changed it since high school.
I haven't changed mine since middle school, so I can't talk.
My last one was me in middle school saying, "This isn't my answering machine, it's my refrigerator."
Great.
That's really intelligent.
That was very intelligent. That was something. It's hilarious.
It was running.
What are we looking at here? Almost. What are we at? Like an hour now?
What are we looking at here? I don't know what you're looking at on your screen.
You
I am
have
across
a timer,
the country.
You're not recording it. You're not streaming it. What are we looking at?
I actually am. We're at an hour and 7 minutes.
We are not. You are completely incorrect.
What are we at?
Not an hour and 7 minutes. I'll tell you that.
We're at 52 minutes.
Nope.
No, definitely not. Because we were at 50 minutes like 12 minutes ago.
Guys, I can't count.
What are you at? What are we at?
Luigi, 50 plus 12.
110. No, I'm just kidding. It's not 110.
Oh my god!
I'm just giving myself time to
You
do
weren't
the math.
kidding. You weren't kidding, man.
I'm trying to make you guys laugh. Now they're gonna forget. Ready? And we gotta. It is. Wait, what was it again? 50 plus 12? That's 104. No, 102. That's 102.
Oh, bro.
That's 150. Oh, wait a minute. No.
I can't read.
Guys, it is
50 plus 12. 104.
See, I'm thinking minute, like the one, you know. With the
You mean
colon.
1 hour? 2
I meant
minutes?
1 hour and 2 minutes, not 100.
Andrew,
You
please
said
clip that if you can.
110.
It's fine.
There was no 2 at all. 110.
It's been a
Jesus
long
Christ.
day. Okay, I've been up since
Since
6 I need to think. I've been up since 6 a.m. Literally doing so much.
my God. I have no words, man. I really don't.
But yeah, that's actually not even really an excuse because I actually am pretty bad at math. Actually, no,
I don't know. I'm kind of honestly.
I'd say I'm a little above average, but I
Bro,
definitely,
come on.
I also can't count higher than 12, so I don't know. I don't know, man.
Jesus Christ. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning
Really?
into episode 8 of the podcast where you saw Luigi's math skills, talked about music, talked about whatever Jake talked about. I forgot already. And we talked about the Yoshi. But if you guys want to follow us, our links are here if you're watching live. If not, get that out of my screen. It's the
Yeah, he's gonna
Yoshi
have
again.
Nightmares. He's gonna have nightmares.
If you want to follow
There it
us for
is.
any updates, look at @TheFaultyFew on Twitter. That's where we post when we're going live and stuff. Why there is a army. I have all of those. Army. Scared. But thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate all of you.
Yeah, we really do.
Wait,
appreciate
what
it.
is that?
What
You
is
see it in
happening?
the background?
It's
no,
Animal
I see
Crossing.
it. Yeah,
It's
I forget.
Rossetti.
It's Rossetti,
It's
yeah.
Rossetti.
Oh my God.
Dude, that's actually very scary. I will not lie. That is very scary.
Dude.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. All right, best outro ever. Thank you guys for watching.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.